Interesting enough, Ryan was going to join us, and are we live? Okay, hey, perfect. Welcome. It's been a long time since we've been here, okay, and particularly in this room. And so this is a great opportunity for us as we move back towards normal. I'd like to recognize we do have Councilmember Burrell. We do have Councilmember Paul. Councilmember Saxton just walked in. We're excited to have him here too. Councilmember Wilson and Councilmember Jackson. This is the Roy City Council meeting for May 18th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. And with that, we have asked Councilmember Brian if he would go ahead and lead us in a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Brian?
Could we have a moment of silence? Thanks. Thanks. Now for the pledge, please stand and repeat after me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Saxton. We appreciate that. Okay, we do have some consent items. We do have the minutes from April 6th City Council meeting, work session, as well as the minutes from the April 6th City Council meeting, as well as Municipal Wastewater Planning Program Annual Report for the year ending 2020. Council, any comments or questions about any of this information here? Okay, seeing and hearing none. Do I have a motion then to approve the consent items as indicated?
I'll second it.
Okay, I've got a motion from Jan and a second from Diane. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. This is a time for public comments. Is there anybody that we have here, as well as on, okay, nobody from the audience outside of this room? Anybody here like to make any comments about anything? Please, if you'll just step up to the mic, give us your name and your address.
Glenn Moore, 2088 West, 3825 South, Roy. And it's short and sweet. Welcome back.
That's it. Glenda, thank you. Appreciate that. Please, anybody else like to make public comments? Okay. With that then, we appreciate the public comments. We do have one presentation, which is the fraud risk assessment. And so I believe, Camille, you're going to share some thoughts with us on that. Thank you.
Yes, I will. Mayor and Council, it's great to be back in person with you to present the annual fraud risk assessment. Last year was our first year presenting this, and it was virtual as well. So this is our first time in person to go over this assessment. The Utah State Auditor's Office developed the fraud risk assessment to help us measure and reduce the risk of undetected fraud, abuse, and non-compliance. The Committee of Sponsoring Organizations of the Treadway Commission, or COSO, is a group of organizations dedicated to providing frameworks and guidance on risk management, internal control, and fraud deterrence. The COSO framework includes 5 principles: the tone at the top, risk assessment, control activities, communication, and monitoring. The State Auditor's Office has developed a 5-level assessment score that is intended to communicate the entity's risk of undetected fraud, abuse, or non-compliance. The scores are based on points assigned to each of the recommended measures And since some are more effective than others, the most effective measures are assigned the highest points. So the more measures are adopted, the score improves. So the higher the score, the lower the risk. The total points earned are 395, and Roy City's score for fiscal year 2021 is 335. So we're 335 out of 395, which puts us into the low risk level. The risk assessment model provides a basic evaluation of our risk for fraud based upon the separation duties and our recommended measures. And we're proud of how low our score is and the support of City Council to help us implement policies and procedures to help protect our city against fraud, waste, and misuse. So we will continue to monitor this fraud assessment throughout the year, and we will work with the audit committee if there's additional measures that we think we can implement to get our score into the very low category in the future. So thank you for all of your support on this.
Thank you, Camille. Council, any comments, questions about this presentation?
Camille, can I ask, what is the area that causes us the most, I don't know, disturbance or disruption?
Yeah, so the 200 out of the 395 possible points are based on our separation of duties. So that's making sure the same people aren't receiving money as can do journal entries and move it around. So we scored 200 points out of 200 in that area. So
that's good.
Yes, so I feel great that we have the controls in place to make sure.
Balancing.
Some of the areas that we did not get any points are some annual trainings that we could do for yourselves. There's some statements that we can have employees and elected officials sign each year. So some of those are definitely things we could work towards. We just need to put them in place and have the proper trainings. But I feel great that we're in the low category. Like I said, we're about 20 points away from being in the very low risk. So that would be my goal, is to get us 20 more points so we can make sure that we're in that very low category.
So commendations to our employees.
Yes.
Thank you.
And again, thank you for your support of our policies and procedures so that we can score this low and protect the city's assets.
Yeah, thank you. Council, any other comments, questions?
Appreciate
Thank
the work
you.
on it.
Yes,
Well done.
thank you.
Okay, appreciate that. Okay, Council, we do have one action item. This one deals with Resolution 21-7, amending admission fees beginning in the 2021 season for the Roy City Aquatic Center. Travis?
Mayor, members of City Council, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight on the fees at the Aquatic Center. A couple weeks ago, we kind of had a brief discussion about this and talked about the why of being increased cost with maintenance, staffing, additional staffing in the pool where we needed the extra lifeguard, and we brought about raising fees by 50 cents for our Roy residents to help offset some of that. It puts us in line, as we talked about last time, with other communities and their fees. There was a couple questions last time that I'd like to address. The first one was the question on how would we be proving residency. And the first of it, we're going to be very, very lenient. I'm going to be honest with you. People aren't really aware of it. It'll probably be on an honor system until we get a little bit later in the year where we'll have signage informing them that we will need to see some identification. We're still at a loss, to be brutally honest with you, on 8 to 12-year-olds. You know, it's very challenging because an 8-year-old can just come to the Aquatic Center without adult supervision. And it's challenging for us to figure out what to do with that group to prove their residency. We've talked about having them get bills, but parents don't want to leave bills with 8 to 12-year-olds, you know, even if it's a photocopy, you know, there might be information there. So that one we're still working through a little bit. The other one was about season passes. And with us selling our 10 punch passes and not wanting it to be a pseudo babysitting service, we wouldn't recommend at this time to do unlimited passes at the Aquatic Center. But with that being said, we would love to answer any questions or get your support on Resolution 21-7, amending admission fees beginning in 2021 at the Aquatic Center.
Just so you know, Travis, unless kids are coached between 8 and 12, they're usually pretty honest.
Ask them what elementary school they go to.
You know,
They'll know that.
we talked with other places, and that's quite often what they've done. There is a little bit of a challenge with some charter schools. You know, I mean, for example, I know my next door neighbors go to Quest, which is in West Haven, but
Some of the Freedom kids are Hooper kids.
correct, and so there's some challenges, but yeah, we'll ask them. We'll definitely try to get the right answer and get people paying what they need to pay.
What
Again,
was
they're
we gonna
typically
charge?
pretty honest.
What were we gonna charge that out of city residents? How much?
It's $1 more.
$1.
It's $1 more.
And yeah, and most kids, what age group can you drop kids off there without being supervised?
If you are younger than 8 years old, you have to have adult supervision at the Aquatic Center. So 8 is the cutoff of, once you turn 8, you do not need adult supervision at the facility.
Yeah, and most parents probably only give them some money to get in and buy a snack.
It happens. I mean, we definitely get a lot of kids who mom and dad hand them $20 and say, see you in 3 hours.
Right. Well, I think 50 cents raise is long overdue. I don't know why you've been given change for all these years. I could have done this long ago.
It's been a challenge. You're right. You're right.
I'll make a motion that we adopt Resolution 21-4.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion then to approve Resolution 20-7, amending the admission fees beginning with the 21 season for the Roy City Aquatic Center. That was offered by Jan. We have a second offered by Ann. This is a roll call vote. Morgan?
Can we just clarify, it should be 21-10?
That's what I thought. I was just looking between, there's
I think the
a
agenda-
discrepancy.
21-4.
But just so we're clear, 21-10 is the
21-10,
resolution.
thank you.
Okay. So let me rephrase that then. Do I have a motion then to approve Resolution 21-10, amending the admissions fee beginning with the 2021 season of the Roy City Aquatic Center?
So moved.
Jan, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. We didn't have to change the names here. Perfect. This is a roll call vote. Morgan?
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Saxton?
Aye.
Councilmember Paul?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson, or Jackson?
Aye.
Councilmember Burrell?
Aye.
Motion
Perfect.
carries.
Mayor, and if I may just quickly say, I want to thank all my staff in Parks and Rec and Aquatics for all their hard work this spring. It's been challenging, and I got a bunch of people that are awesome and care, and I just wanted to give them a shout out here because they've been wonderful. So thank you.
Hey Travis, I have a question for you before you sit down. Because I've seen on the news how a chlorine shortage, is that going to affect us?
We're optimistic now. I mean, how we get it compared to some others, we're optimistic we're going to be okay, but you never know. They might take ours and formulate it differently. But I think we're going to be okay there.
Okay.
Okay.
I would second your shout out to your employees.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Travis. Well done. Okay, this is the time for city manager and council reports, and the city manager was not able to be with us tonight. So anybody for the city manager would like to make comments in his behalf?
Nope.
Hearing none, then we do have an opportunity for the council. Council, is there anything you'd like to discuss or anything you'd like to see done?
I do have something, but I gotta find it, so if somebody else has it.
So
Go ahead.
I just want to thank Roy City and applaud our city people for always being supportive of our schools. And it's evident by the signage that's out right now with the Roy logo on it, with the Roy City logo on our congratulations sign. So I appreciate that. It very much speaks to that one town.
Yeah, great point. Appreciate that. Anybody else before I jump in? Councilman Paul.
I just wanted to report back on my stewardship with the sewer department. They had an in-person board meeting last week. Unfortunately, I was out of town, so I called in. But one notice that we received, which is awesome, an email come through to the board that says we have some great news. The district has officially been assigned a AAA rating from Fitch and S&P reaffirmed our AA plus rating, attached as the press release. AAA is the highest possible rating and is shared by other Utah entities like the State of Utah, Salt Lake County, Alpine School District, and Salt Lake City. We're the only AAA rated sewer district in the state that we are aware of. The past rate increases, reserve policies, and sound decisions made by the board have reduced the district's interest rate. So things are going well with the sewer district, which ultimately, pays off for us as residents in a city that partakes of that entity. So I want to pass that along.
It's great news.
Good news.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. Anybody else have a comment?
I wanted to bring up about the water issue. I know Chad Zito, who's on the water board, is a good friend of mine, and he has called me numerous times and says this is the worst drought since the 1800s. And he is like panicking and said they'll probably end up turning off the water in September. And I think they're going to have a presentation at our next council meeting.
Okay.
And so, but we got to do something about people that water in the middle of the day, and that people in my brother's neighborhood said they water twice a day. And he said people don't realize the severity of this drought. And so I don't know how to get the word out there for people to not water between 10 and 6, and you don't need to water every day, and they're going to maybe start, giving some tickets. And I mean, it's really bad, the worst he said they've ever seen.
Well, that's an excellent point. Council, you agreed and supported an idea about allowing the council to consider a resolution. It's not necessarily a binding resolution, which means there's no forcing factor behind it, but definitely an awareness that we need to start looking at water conservation going into this year. And so with this, if the council, we can go ahead and between now and that presentation, we work with the city, we'll go ahead and establish then a resolution that supports our position that says this is a time when we need to rally around conservation so that we make sure that we have the water we need to meet our needs.
I would definitely support that. Something to go along with that, I know different vendors throughout the area have been offering discounts on smart controllers for your irrigation water. There's also a rebate from the state of Utah, I believe it's still active, to where if you purchase one of these smart controllers, you get a rebate. By the time I bought the smart controller and got the rebate, it cost me $5, and it monitors my usage and it gives me updates and tells me when I shouldn't be watering. And I've noticed a significant decrease in the amount of water I'm using. So.
Well, even when it was raining, people's sprinkler systems were coming on, and I know I have a lot of elderly neighbors that have no clue how to turn on or off a sprinkler system. They have it set, people come and set it for them every year. So I know it's going to be a challenge to reach all of those people also. But he just says, I can't stress to you enough how bad this is, I mean, our reservoir, he said, we're going to run out of water, and people just don't get it. So anyways.
Yeah, great comment. We'll go ahead and have a prepared resolution that talks to this issue and bring that up in our next meeting. So staff, if you can help us develop that. Travis, obviously, you might be a principal player in this. There's things that you might be able to do to the level that you can do for our parks. I will indicate to you 20% of all the water consumed on the West Edge front does take place within homes and municipalities, and 80% actually goes to agriculture. That's not uncommon, but we can only do our portion to this. So the key would be is if there's things we can do, then let's consider those, both at the municipality level as well as the individual level. So let's see what we can do. But thank you. That's great information to know. Just a couple of things then. I will indicate to you that I know our Public Works Department is working diligently in terms of trying to address the canal crossing. As you well know, on 4800, we do have an issue with sidewalk access, and we believe, at least council, this year we will then have the Bureau of Reclamation giving us authority to go ahead and get that in. It will not happen until after the water is turned off, for obvious reasons, but it'd be nice that everything is in play. Travis, to your point, the cement is available. and that we will be able to go ahead and get that project moving this year finally. It's been in process for the last couple of years. The other thing I want to say, and Glenda, thanks for the information you provided. I've been talking with Matt. Matt has reached out to broadband, particular broadband, looking at options. So even though we have said in this meeting before that we as a council will be looking at different aspects, different options, some information that we got from the people in Clinton and what they're doing has been incredibly helpful. We're going to see if in fact maybe an opportunity for some type of presentation to the council would be in order. So
You're referring to fiber, correct?
it's fiber optics for broadband. So as we get more information and more details, we'll make sure the council's aware of those and what's taking place and how that might fit very nicely to those people who really want it. And by the way, there is broadband fiber in Roy. It's not widespread, just a couple of areas within Roy, but it is available. Our intent would be is to consider a little broader look. So it's coming.
It's my understanding that the company that did the proposal and the work with Clinton is actually a Roy-based company.
It is. And they seem to be pretty excited about the opportunity of considering expanding in Roy. So to us, what we want to look at in terms of what we see the role and responsibilities of local government in terms of providing that service. And to be honest with you, there has been some hesitation on your part as a council and definitely from staffs in terms of trying to come up with bonding for about a $28 million bill. We think there's some options out there that may not necessarily require that from the city. And so we'd like to pursue and continue pursuing that. So I will indicate to you we've made contact. And with that contact, we think there might be some things we'll be ready to present to the council and ideas maybe we ought to consider pursuing. Just a little reminder, last Saturday, Ann and I were able to attend the operational home front. 200 service members were in fact involved, asked to come down to Kent's. Kent's did an incredible job with the team from the operational home front group and provided groceries and the kinds of things that a lot of these families in the military could benefit from. I can't tell you how many people actually came through where their husband or their spouse was deployed. And sometimes those deployments are 6 months to a year. So this was an incredible welcome. But more importantly, I think what they took away from, and Ann can talk to this as well, is the fact is that this is a community that cares. And we care about our military personnel. And they showed it at Kent's the other day. And we had a great time and a great opportunity to be part of that. So I wanted to share with you, they also gave away, I think, 10 of those kayaks. And they were pretty pumped, the people that had seen that and part of that. So I had an opportunity to meet with all of them as well. I'll let Travis clarify, but we believe for us who ordered park benches, that process, hopefully when we get cement, will be moving along and over this summer. So we could very well be in our public parks. Those who in fact have been invited and wanted to go ahead and purchase park bench will in fact be able to start seeing some of that this year. So we're excited for that. So that'll be a great welcome.
How many have you purchased? I mean, how many are available for people to buy?
Well, I only bought one, but we're working that project, I believe, for all the parks, so.
I'll get the groups and I'll send an email tomorrow with the exact
Okay.
information.
But there was a number of residents who signed up, and they were pretty excited about the opportunity, particularly when you're able to put a little sign on it, maybe a saying, a comment on it. So we were excited about that. And last comment, if you can provide some information, maybe the staff knows, we had another restroom, public restroom that got damaged. I heard on 6,000. Is there any truth to that?
Yes.
Okay. Obviously, we've got a problem. We've got to find a solution.
So I have a question about that because I know in the proposed budget there are cameras in next year's budget for that.
Yep.
The question I had is there enough money in the council contingency budget that we could pull that forward and get them now and start working towards that versus waiting until next year, because it's a problem. I walk a lot of the parks and talking to the employees that are down there. It's not happening late at night. It's happening in broad daylight, all hours of the day. And obviously we could get a campaign going, see something, say something, but I also think that we need those cameras, and I'd be curious to see if we could fund that this year on a vote from the council versus waiting till next year, next fiscal year.
We actually were able to track down a little bit of money, and we're planning on getting cameras and magnetic lock systems at Emma Russell Park and the 6,000 Trail restrooms. One of them projects, I don't remember which order this is. One of them will begin next week, and the other one about 2 weeks after that. So we're going to be in the process of doing that. We'll take the money right now, because you're right, it is a problem. And you're also correct, we had one happen one day where we can pinpoint and tell you that it happened between 11:45 a.m. and 1:15 p.m.
Oh, interesting.
You know, I mean, we can tell you, we had people go in there at 11:45 and didn't have a problem and went back down there an hour and a half later and had major damage.
Was it during a weekday, during school?
It was during school. It was during school. Yeah, well, it's been a very challenging year with that, and we're short-staffed right now, and my guys, frankly speaking, are spending way too much time trying to clean and maintain them, and we're not able to get out and mow and fertilize and do the things that we really need to be doing, because we're spending way too much time trying to fix restrooms. And we hope that adding camera systems, adding magnetic locks that we can lock at night, we're hopeful that can help in this process. If not, you know, we might have to do what some other cities have done, and we don't want to do this, which is they open their restrooms during events. If they have games, if they have activities, if they have things like that, they'll open their restrooms. If they don't, they don't.
They stay locked.
I think that's what you should do.
When you talk about the magnetic locks, that means that you can set a time period when they are locked?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And you can still, and just so you know, because it was a concern of ours, if somebody happened to be in there when it locked, they can get out.
They can get out. Well, I see no reason for it to be open during school hours.
You say that, and
For you, I know.
But you know what? I will say that I walk it, but there are people in those parks all day long.
And
Walking dogs. We have a big demographic in this city, age-wise, and so, you know, there's people playing pickleball all day long, walking their dogs.
And there's also the mothers who bring their 4-year-olds to the playground. And hey, listen, it might get to that point. And I like restrooms at parks. I like people being able to use restrooms and things like that. I'm not saying I don't want that. But I am also saying that it is severely taxing my team, both not only in time and man hours, but financially. And frankly speaking, something's got to give. And let's all hope that, you know, we get camera systems throughout and it helps solve the problem. But if it doesn't, that's going to be our next course of
They
action.
can have a honey bucket.
So do they have to be manually, I'm sorry to perseverate on this, do they have to be manually set, or can you set it?
Well, you can set them with Wi-Fi. I mean, like
So like, could they be open for an hour in the afternoon, an hour in the morning?
Sure.
Would that address
You
it,
could-
Joe, or
you
is
could
that
put
still too?
A sign there, what
Prohibited.
hours they're open.
I think that would help, definitely.
And those are things, if you guys want to discuss, we can discuss
We can
setting
talk
up
about that.
times for them, you know, and what times they're open and what not.
Yeah, you know, Emma Russell's the one I walk the most, but I can speak, there are people there from 6 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night walking. I walk multiple times throughout the day, and
If they were open for an hour, it might almost be easy to do some surveillance on that for an hour, as opposed to a 5-hour period. It would be hard to do any kind of
that's a great point.
monitoring.
It's an
If you
absolute
know
great
the
point.
bathroom's not gonna be open at a certain time, then you just have to make sure you go, or take your kid in the bushes. I don't know.
Well,
I just
and
think
like I
that
say,
you gotta do something. I wanna catch the kids.
encourage.
What will happen?
yeah, then Roy City Council member will hit the newspaper for public indecency. I prefer not to use the bushes.
What happens to a kid that gets caught vandalizing?
I would defer that question to the prosecutor.
So that's a very loaded question. I'll tell you from my experience, both here at the city and when I worked for the county attorney's office. Park vandalisms are quite frankly the hardest cases because the quality of cameras are usually not good enough for a criminal prosecution. So I would just kind of warn everybody, if we're going to spend money on cameras, get cameras good enough that they're useful in court.
Yep.
And we've worked with IT that we feel that will be accomplished.
Perfect.
What about some signs, just like I said, you know, you see it with the train stations, UTA, different, see something, say something, that we've got our number on there. I know it was last summer that I went down there and there was kids up on the bathrooms on top of the building, ripping off shingles and breaking the things, and I stopped and read them the riot act and called the police right there and waited until an officer showed up. And
at this point, we're willing to try anything. If we think that's a good idea, we can put up signs, you know, with police dispatch's phone number, and if they see something, to please contact police dispatch. I don't want my staff, we're not trained to detain people or things like that, but I have no problem with putting police dispatch number up there, and if people see something, yeah, it'd be ideal. It's like a lot of things in life. 99.9% of the people that go to our parks are wonderful. They're very respectful. They use the amenities and things like that. It's that 0.1% that, you know, is causing grief for all of us. You know, we haven't been able. We bought a bunch of hand sanitizer things that we put throughout parks. They get ripped off. You know, what people find fun to do in restrooms and parks, I don't get, and maybe I never will, but it's unfortunate for us, you know, as a city and my staff.
It is their tax money that's supporting
Absolutely.
that, so
absolutely.
if they were willing to say something,
Yeah,
it certainly help.
I have no problem getting with Public Works and having them making us some signs and putting up throughout various park locations.
Okay. Would you take that as an action and look into that?
Absolutely.
And then maybe in the next meeting you report back. And then we look forward to having some feedback, Travis, in terms of how your implementation of locks and cameras will go, okay?
I just got a text message from a citizen. He's a member of our business advisory board. He's willing to start a GoFundMe project to help with cameras too, so maybe some private donations might be helpful.
I'm never going to turn down money, but the city council has an opportunity. We've got some money put in this upcoming budget for
I
us.
think our businesses would be willing to sponsor, say, a restroom or that kind of thing.
My concern is, you say upcoming budget, that puts us out at least a month and a half.
Yes, sir.
Can we move the project up a little bit sooner?
That's a good idea.
I think what probably will be best to do is get with Matt and Camille and check budgets, and I can't afford it, mine, but if there's more money lying around, then we'll take it and we'll keep going. We won't stop. We'll pick another park after the 6,000 and Emma Russell, and we'll just keep going and keep that crew busy until they're all eventually completed. So yeah, we'd love to have them.
Are the cameras being watched, or are they only for looking back after vandalism as a record in the?
We would go back. I mean, it's not like we would actively be using them. I think they do have the ability, Camille, I think you might know this better than I, that we could like pull it up on our phone, you know, maybe staff of the Parks Department pull up our phone at any point in time and see what we see. But obviously you can't put, one of the challenges is you can't put cameras inside the actual bathroom.
Correct.
You know, so what it's going to be is hopefully being able to time it out and say, this was the last person in there, and then one of our staff came and we knew there was a problem then, so.
Okay, work the details, Travis. We appreciate that, and I look forward to some updates.
Okay.
This is important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, great comments. Okay, with that then, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Okay, Diane and Joe, and all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned. A phone connection, let's go ahead and we'll get started with our Roy City RDA board meeting. You want to put your recorder up and we'll start the process. You ready? Okay.